Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a best of 5 between North America's finest. In the bottom left spawning as our Red Protoss player playing for Team Maturino. It's going to be Astrea. And in the top right is the Blue Zerg playing for the Shopify Rebellion. It is of course Scarlett. Zerg versus Protoss here on a map that we don't see a whole lot in this matchup, that we don't see a whole lot in general. Some of you might have never actually seen this map before if you're not a very frequent StarCraft viewer. This map's called Rådhuset Station. It's named after the Stockholm, I think it's metro station, which apparently is, a lot of people call it the prettiest metro station in the world. And they made a spin-off, a map, which is now one of the worst played maps, or the least played maps in the entire world. So, both hold records. This map has an in-base third base, which requires you to mine 20 minerals away from it, and pretty much allows you to defend 3 bases with a single ramp, thus making this map rather passive most of the time. Funnily enough, because people like to play passive on this map, or because playing passive is so good, they tend to start playing very greedy, and because people start playing very greedy, other people start all-inning them. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now, right here. Scarlett opening up with a quick lair. And this can be for 2 things. No, it actually can only be for 1 thing. This is going to most likely be a Nidus. Perhaps an Overlord drop in towards the main though with 8 or... With 8 links or so. That is something that I think might be possible. This Overlord should be out of vision range of this gateway. Yep, it definitely is. As a sentry is being chrono boosted. Double gateway wall, fast 3rd nexus here. So Astrea definitely, it likes his cash. He likes the money and there's nothing wrong with that. He wants to get as much money as possible. Now, of course, he has these rocks he can take out later to still easily expand to a 4th base. So full walling is actually a really cool move over here. Scarlett, however, isn't going to let it come that far, as she'll throw down an instant Nidus network. Queen's already making its way over in towards the main base. This is, I think this is one of the fastest Nidus worms that is humanly possible. I don't think there is a single type of Nidus worm that actually hits quicker than this one. We have a link drop heading in towards the 3rd base, where there actually already is a 3rd base. Hallucination now scouting, sees 6 links making their way across the map. There's really not that much that Astrea can do about it, though. I mean, he's fairly dead, to be quite honest, as we see the first 8 links dropping in towards the 3rd base. And exactly what I said often happens on this map ends up happening with an all-in against probably the most greedy build that Protoss has. 41 workers, 4 minutes into the game, against 18 out of Scarlett, with a double drop heading in right now. Nidus network. Halfway down, Link start fighting the Stalkers and the Sentries. Funnily enough, these probes actually do an okay job trading because there's just so many freaking probes. Here come the Queens though, with the battery going up, and the natural super battery gets activated. More Links running in right now, and I do believe that Scarlett has done it. The main base is toast. The natural probably is going to be toast as well at some point in the near future. We're still going to get a single double adept warp in here, I think, now that these gates have turned into warp gates. 21 workers have gone down already. 2nd battery on the way as Astrea tries to hold this ramp. I think that is a pretty smart play. At the same time, the Nidus network already is going down in the natural. And the moment that phase ends up falling, there's nothing really that Astrea can do, because then Scarlett can just start droning up if she wants to. Literally, whatever is possible can be done at that point. Or whatever she wants can be done. Anything's going to be possible here. These adepts will get surrounded. 2 might fall before the shade finishes up. Yep, there we go. And this Nexus will die. Creep spread continues. Astrea taps out with a quick GG. Now, people often say that all-ins beat greed and safe play beats all-ins. And then greed is better than safe play. So it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissory vibe that you have in StarCraft, which I don't actually think is true. Very often I think you can just play very safe and be fine against both greedy play and against all-ins. Like, sure, you can be behind a little bit, but I think this was really taken to the extreme here in that last game, where it was the ultimate greed versus one of the sickest all-ins, honestly. It was a real nice one. Double drop with that quick Nidus. Even if it wasn't such a greedy build, I think this would have hit like a truck. it just hit really quick. And with a lot of units, like, you're going to struggle no matter what, I think, against a build like this. Because there's just 2 good dropping positions here. One in towards the main, one near the third. And then with the knight, it's kind of that 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, punch combo. You love to see it. We're going to see how Scarlett's going to play this time around. She gets blocked the natural. Has to take the third base as the natural hatchery. Astrea, meanwhile, just with a pretty standard opener. 21 gas. We'll see a pylon go down pretty soon. Yep, there we go. Lovely to see. Now, Astrea, I've mentioned this before about him. He's one of those guys that literally can play anything that he wants. He's not as cheesy as like a Haas, but I think he's more creative. And I think he has a deeper understanding of the game as well. He'll still have a weird all-in every now and again, or like an out-of-the-ordinary all-in. But I feel like all of it is kind of grounded in some decent StarCraft 2 theory as well. Well, sometimes if you watch some of them other cheesers, some other all-inners, that's not so much the case. And it feels like Astrea plays like a little bit weird, despite his ability of being capable of playing very well standard as well. While the others, a lot of the time, they play weird because they can't play standard. Astrea has the ability to do both, but he chooses to be weird. It's very different. Zedep tries to come in, try to get a couple of kills here. Drone got rallied towards the wrong base, will be pulled back, of course. Queen in position to deal with the adept. There we go. Very nice. Oracles as well being popped out over here. So actually a fairly standard opener. Pylon in the wall here. It's going to provide... Wait, what? Okay. I see. This is actually really cute. So, very often in StarCraft 2, if you want to block your opponent's natural... I hadn't even realized that until now. If you want to block your opponent's natural, you need to send 2 probes out. 1 probe to block and 1 probe to build the pylon downstairs. This is a little bit more expensive than if you just have to send a single probe. So what Astrea did here is he built the pylon as close to his opponent's base as possible so that the probe has less distance to travel and as a result only needs to send a single probe. Then in order to finish that wall, just added that second gateway up top. Actually a very nice wall. I didn't know was possible on this map. I hadn't experimented enough, I guess. That is perhaps a mistake. Real nice of Astrea to show that to me right now. This looks like a nice little wall. Very, very neat little wall. Usually not a fan of walling with natural walls rather than buildings, because Zerglings tend to be capable of kind of pushing through in a weird way. I'm not sure how to explain that, but if you right-click rapidly with a group of Zerglings behind it, there is a chance that they're just kind of... they'll walk through, despite technically not being capable of doing that. That's something you always have to be very careful of. This is Oracle Phoenix into Twilight 4 gate. This could be for charge, this could be for blink. If this is for blink, I'd be kind of surprised. Okay, cool. I'm kind of surprised then. It feels like it shouldn't be for blink. Quick melee upgrade for Scarlett. I'm really quite surprised by this. Phoenix is scouting quite a lot around the map. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised here. Because there's not going to be that much harassment. Like, what is the Phoenix adding into the mix here? If you're just building a single Oracle, it feels like a waste to build a Phoenix. A Phoenix is great because it can deny Overlord vision. A Phoenix is great because it can lift Queen, so 2 Oracles can start going ham. That's not at all what is happening here, though. We do have another Oracle finally on the way, as a 5 Stalker move out makes its way across the map. There's just a single Oracle to protect this. I'm kind of scared here, honestly. For Astrea, I don't think he has enough coverage for these Stalkers. I don't think he does quite yet. There's a bunch of links in production. Queens are being pushed back as well. More Stalkers just walking across the map, slowly but surely. 5 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. Here comes a potential surround. The Queen's just moving off creep here. I don't think this engagement is entirely what Scarlett wants. I actually think this... might be fine still. Taking out a lot of these stalkers means that there's not going to be that snowbally effect. We have 30 more links on the way. +1 is finishing up in about 15 seconds as well. There's plenty of income as well. 3,200 minerals a minute is what we saw over there. Wouldn't mind seeing a quick round of drones either heading towards this bottom side or towards this top side base. Seems like Scarlett, however, has different plans, just continuing that link production. While we now have triple gases on the way here for Astrea. More gas as well for Scarlett. Both players just kind of attacking up the gas. It's like both of them wanted to play a very mineral heavy style. And then once the clock hit 6 minutes and 30 seconds, we're like, maybe not. I like my gas unit, stack is fun. But this is a scary little attack here that's happening. I think Scarlett could have committed. That's a wild blink forward, actually. These links have +1, and these were just naked stalkers over here. Scarlett instead is just going to be moving back with them links. 5 more overlords on the way. 6, 7 more overlords. 10 more overlords on the way. Well, okay. That is doubling your overlord count in a couple of seconds. Oracles perhaps dealing... Oh, 20 kills? I guess a lot of that were links. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. I really think that if these links would have just started attacking the stalkers, it would have been a good fight. There was freaking 50 links or so with +1 against 8 stalkers without any upgrades whatsoever. So even if you warp in Zealot, they don't have +1 and just don't really help against the Zergling attack. Nice little wall. Well, nice little wall. Nice large wall here. Actually, it's not that nice. This pylon is the weak spot, and then the cannon is the weak spot. There's also a weak spot over. Many weak spots in this wall. Not a huge fan, personally. Hate to say it, but can't stop saying it. This is the second now. This is the first robotics facility. Yes, this game has really calmed down. It's slowed down. It felt like we're going to see some serious action here in the early stages of the mid-game, but that's not quite the case. Scarlett perhaps attempting a little bit of a Baneling bust. With a bunch of Ravagers here as well. Now we'll start working on these rocks. We're going to see a big Baneling warfare. 11 to start with. Not the end of the world. Quite yet here for Astrea. Who has this Zealot run by setup right now. Runs straight into this Lingroad Ravager army. Is Astrea just caught off guard with his entire army. This is such a weird game. It's just really weird. I think Scarlett is winning it pretty hard though. Just gonna straight up walk in here and eating these stalkers alive. Storms are available, perhaps with a Bane split, could be nice. I mean, yeah, probes are just gonna start falling here at the 4th base, probes are gonna start falling here at the 3rd base as well. That means right now that Astrea is pretty much all in, and Astrea still has a weaker army as well. Astrea is down in literally every single imaginable way right now. There's no major advantage. Ravager count still looking good as well, 197 supplied and 99. I mean, Scarlett still being maxed after a fight. Pretty much tells the tale over here. We get the links around, we get the Archon Morphs, and that is going to be it for game number 2 as well, most likely. GG gets called, and Scarlett puts herself on match point. And this is exactly what I was talking about in that last game. So this time we did have the double probes, because Alcyone is one of them maps where it's not possible to build a pylon and block at the same time. The map's just a little bit too large rush distance wise. Unless you need to send the second one. Scarlett opening up with a 17 hatch already. Or maybe she's going for a pool first, but it seems unlikely. Yeah, she's going to be a 17 hatch over here on that 3rd base location. Makes a whole lot of sense. It's also the only real 3rd you can take. I was thinking of something the other day. Like, what if you send the probe very early? You build a pylon on the 3rd, and then you block the hatch. And the drone moves over towards the 3rd base, and there's a pylon there. I mean, it's very expensive to build a pylon, but it also is very funny to me. Like, that actually would be very funny to me. Where you send a second probe. Like, just block 2 bases at the same time. I don't think that's worth it. But I think it would be very funny. And the Zerg would be extremely confused. And then they move over to the 3rd base and there's another probe there. And then they're like, alright, I'll take the Rich Vespine geyser. And that's where your natural nexus is. They're like, what? God, they'd be so confused. Actually gonna try this. That sounds really funny to me. I wonder if on some maps... So on some maps is... I don't think there's any maps in the map pool right now where there's no... Like this base you can still take as Zerg, right? As a natural. But on some maps back in the day it was legit impossible. There was only one alternative. I wonder if we could have just double blocked. So then Zerg plays what? Pool first? Has to pull like 4 drones down? I don't actually know what they do. You kind of force them on one base then completely. I'm actually really curious what would happen. I'm actually just going to try it. Even just blocking 3 bases at the same time. I mean, if that forces them to one base, surely that is a good setup. Like, I'm actually not sure what Zerg should do against it. They just block all their bases. Like, I guess it's too expensive for tosses, so you can just go around. I don't think you can go around doing that. Maybe there's something there. We'll have to wait and see. Because there won't be any queen production either. So you send out 3 probes, you just play a 1-base build. Like rush out a Stargate or something. I feel like it wouldn't be so bad. I feel like it actually wouldn't be so bad. Gonna have to wait and see. Alright. Adept making its way across the map. Gonna get a drone kill. As the spore there was just a little bit too late. Good moves coming out of Astrea. These are some of the moves, by the way, that I noticed a lot of the top players always make. So they always tank a bunch of damage from that first adept and just try to go for a drone kill. And very often you're not going to get it. Perhaps 80% of the time you're not going to get it. But the 20% of the time that you do get it is worth basically not taking any real damage. Like, it's just a bit of effort. And a bit of effort is the least you can do, in my opinion, if you're playing a game of StarCraft 2. Oracle does make its way across the map here. Going to try to get some kills in the natural, or the natural base location. Sadly for Astrea, well actually no, there's a drone now. It's going to turn into a spore over here. It should turn into a spore really any second right now. Oh no, this is awful. Well, it's going to get spotted. If Astrea had been a bit quicker there to respond to his own Oracle, because he was busy dealing with a little Ling run by, could have perhaps killed some stuff. This spore is about to finish up. There's no queens yet in the net. One queen is about to move over. Second queen moving over as well. Double oracles now. Looking for an angle here. Not quite finding it yet. Creep hasn't even connected yet. 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Okay, we see Scarlett with a serious focus here on spreading the creep forward. Usually you see connecting the bases as the first play. But that is not the case here at all. As this spore starts attacking the oracle. Evo chamber halfway done. Another 4-gate blink build coming out of Astrea, which is nice. I really like these builds. I think they're powerful. I think they're good. Scarlett responds by getting an Evo chamber and a fast lair. Not entirely what I'd expected here. Quick gold as well. I thought with this much creep so far forward so quickly, I really kind of believed that we were going to see some type of Queen Roach all in. Like a queen walk of some sorts, but that's not the case here whatsoever. Could still be melee, Ling, queen. Nah, that makes no sense. We also see 3 gases going down. So that really makes no sense. Gold already saturated at this point. That is a cute little move here. Do like that. Means of a lower worker count, you're getting a lot more money. Wouldn't mind seeing a faster 5th as a result as well because of that. Scarlett so far showing some cool strats in this series. As the spore pushes this away. I think it's positioned a bit too far towards the bottom actually, this spore. Too close to the mineral patch as well. Should be one towards the right, but it's okay. Rich Vespine Geyser base here is being taken as the 4th. That means easy access to those, to that gas, to the Vespine gas. We have Hydra then, Baneling Nest coming down. Scarlett once again setting herself up for a bit of an all-in. And drone count simply too low for this to be anything else in my mind. Overlord is gonna get cleared. This is the Scarlett standard. This is whenever there's a Blink Stalker attack. Links make their way across the map to go for a base trade. And I think it actually is going to force a recall here. That's a lot of links out. And yeah, there's really not that much that Astrea can do about this. Scarlett's actually going to commit to it. I think that might not necessarily be great, especially because +1 melee wasn't even finished yet. I think forcing that recall was brilliant, but then losing all of those links was a lot less brilliant. That was a bad trade here for Scarlett, for no real reason. The play had already been made. The play was forcing the recall. That worked. Maybe could have gone for a cancel on the 4th as well at the same time. I think that would have been cool. Now these oracles are going to spot the move out, perhaps. As she's trying to hide the Hydras. Didn't quite work out there. Decides to show him to push away them oracles. Macro actually looking very tight here for Scarlett. 143 supply. Despite some major losses there with the links. It's going to be timing with Hydra Link Bane, +1 melee, Baneling speed. And all the Hydra upgrades on the way as well. As, the Hydra speed has already finished. We now get the range upgrade as well. Glued spines. 22 Banes being produced. And gonna have to wait and see how Astrea decides to deal with this. Storm has finished up. There's a bunch of these Templars around. 6 Templar here on the map. Gas income obviously fabulous. More cannons on the way, no Zealot run-bys being sent out as these oracles were looking for something. Not quite finding that first storm does connect, second storm does connect as well. Banelings almost managed to take out all of these Templar, but 3 of them survive with, 6 HP each. As, yeah, this fight just hasn't gone too well here for Scarlett. And another big storm here, connecting with a bunch of the links as well as a bunch of these Hydras. Scarlett trying to get a W here, but I don't think that's quite going to be possible because the reinforcement gateways are active. Zealot's now coming in, Oracle's activate as well, and it's 135 supply to 100. And that means that Scarlett needs to probably transition out of this right now, go into a quick +2 infestation pit. I'm kind of feeling a hive here. I'm kind of feeling a hive as the only realistic solution. It wouldn't surprise me if we see +2 range here coming in and then going for a lurker, kind of a lurker follow-up. It seems the only viable serious play. Scarlett instead just continues building units. That might just be for safety. I really think a lurker then is the only thing that can save this game. I mean, you're still playing against an army that is fairly weak and consisting of mere gateway units, right? Stalker, Zealot, Templar, meh. Double upgrades is nasty though. That is really nasty. That's putting a big timer here on Scarlett as well. If Scarlett wants to stay on this comp. If Zerk is up in upgrades and you're playing Hydra Ling Bane, that's pretty okay. Oh wait, +1 range hadn't even been researched. In my mind, +1 range was already here, but that's not the case. Well, that sucks. That really does suck. Double Oracle's now going to scout, wondering if there's a 5th base. And the moment they don't see a 5th, I think all the alarm bells will start going off in Astrea's head. It's like, well, if you don't even have a 5th yet, then that means I'm up a base. If I'm up a base, then I don't need to do anything. So Astrea's just going to be sitting back, relaxing, taking it slow. Overseer starts as Scarlett is trying to max out, but well, that's not really working out yet, is it? Need more money for that. I think Astrea might even be capable of maxing out as well before Scarlett gets the hit on the other side of the map. There's so much cash here for Astrea. There's like freaking 14 gateways or something. Okay, oh, it's getting 4 more, so it's going to bring it up to 11. Not quite 14, but still good. 2 Archons could morph, has 5 Templar with energy. I'd love to see an Oracle or 2 just being active with the revelations on the main army. These knocks will get knocked down. A couple of Banes detonate into a single Zealot. This Prism is being chased around by a very large army. Well, that's a big Zealot warp in here. 11 Zealots all at once. It's 196 supply for Astrea against the 183 of Scarlett. These Zealots should get cleaned up without any serious trouble. I get a decent split, so a few more Banes will have to be used. Now the Prism's going to make its way in towards the main base. And I think at this point, I wouldn't even mind if Astrea decides to attack. It would be theoretically a mistake, because I think the win percentage is higher if you just sit back and do nothing for a little bit. Just wait until you have infinite cannons at every single base and higher Archon count. But I also don't really think it matters. A bunch of zealots will get taken out here. It's a little bit sloppy. Thought he could get that hatchery. But the defense has arrived in time. This Prism now looking to go in towards the main base. We'll drop 2 zealots and then piss back off into the dead space. Astrea just playing this very careful into the double stargates. +1 air weapons as well over here. So we have an 11 zealot warp in. Let's see what they can do. They can die. That's what they can do. There come a couple of zoning storms. We still have about 4 or 5 storms available. Needs to be careful though, because if you lose a lot of zealots... Oh, never mind. Oh, wait, he's like freaking 50 storms. He has like 10 storms in each army. Never mind. Okay, this is completely fine. Yeah, Storm's just blanketing this army right now. This is only a part of Astrea's army, and this is really the majority of all Scarlets. Painting's trying to connect here. We managed to clean this up at least, so this base is going to end up falling. That is a decently sized win for Scarlet. Problem is just that the follow-up is that you need to beat another army, and which is probably even stronger. Like you're progressing, you're getting better bosses every single time. You get a minor win over here, and the next boss just a little bit too strong. We do have a Ling run by being set up to the far left side right now. This is still 67 workers, and as 2 carriers start popping out, I'm starting to get seriously worried here for Scarlet. Honestly impressed by how well Scarlet manages to stay in this game, because after that initial push, I think this game was as good as over. Almost making it feel close here. A couple of storms are available. Scarlet already pre-splitting a little bit there. Another storm's going to hit. Just pure Link getting eaten alive by those storms as the Banelings try to get connections. We'll clear a lot of these probes. I think this army just got slaughtered while we weren't paying attention there, and probably neither was Scarlet. As all of a sudden the supplies have, yeah, well, not flipped. But they plummeted, at least on the side of Scarlet. Mothership about to pop out as well. This game is really just over. Astrea is taking a sweet, sweet time, but it's not that much that Scarlet can do. There's just too many storms. The main unit to deal damage is still going to be the Baneling, or the Hydra, or the Ling. And none of these units deal well with Storm or Archons. Neither of them really deal well with the carrier either. So yeah, I'm loving this position here for Astrea, who is flying around the map here with a mothership, waiting for that aggressive recall. But you could have built a Nexus over here as well and waited for that to finish and gone for a recall. Like, the mothership doesn't add a whole lot of flavor to the mix. Storm's connecting with a couple of them Hydras. Baneling count is like 3 or something low like that. Zealot army on the left is just chilling. I wonder if we're even gonna see a recall, or if this is just like a threatening force out on the map. And as long as there's no Corruptors or Vipers, the mothership can literally do whatever it wants, right? There's no danger of it being eaten alive right now. Legitimately none. Love to see this left side army also start doing something. Astrea is playing this really slow. It's wild. He just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. Storm's connecting with the Lynx. 3 tumors being taken out as well. As the mothership continues its journey in towards the main base, it feels like. These zealots are being taken out by the Hydra. It's the mothership trying to cut in here. I don't think we're gonna see a recall, right? Maybe a time warp from these things. The actual mothership harass. It's been a while since I've seen that. And it's a nice timing to do it. GG gets called as Scarlet taps out, and Astrea takes his first game of the series. What's been kind of interesting so far in these games is that they felt pretty reliant on single moments rather than kind of a continuous back and forth. I think in that last game, we had this moment of the Ling attack on the 3rd base, while Astrea was moving across the map with the Stalkers. And there, I think Scarlet simply lost too many Zerglings without really achieving anything. And then following it up with an all-in, it's obviously important to keep your units alive. That was a serious issue there. And in game number 1, it was just greed. It's pure greed. Game number 2, it was just being out of position as well. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of all or nothing here. You often see those types of things in games where both players are taking a good amount of risk. If you have players that are a bit more safe, it's often about kind of minor interactions. While here it's been really quite a lot about just major things going wrong, about like big risk being taken and then not paying off or paying off, which is interesting to me. Kind of makes sense. I think Scarlett is a fairly aggressive player, and of course Astrea fairly risky / aggressive / creative, bit of a wild player. Definitely a bit of a wild card. Opening up with a Nexus here. Managed to block the natural, as is often the case. Wonder what we're gonna see in this game. I wouldn't mind just getting a glaive build in here. Just a cheeky little glaive build. I think glaive builds are just a little bit underrated right now, because they're hardly being played. I think we might see them once every 20-25 games. I really believe they have a role in this matchup, and they're currently not really getting that role that I do believe that they have. Pool finishes up, and we're gonna be seeing what Scarlett has planned for this game. At least the initial steps into the future. Gonna see what that is going to be. So Astrea just keeping the probe around. Not quite sure. I just want to know where the third base is, of course. Makes some sense. Always want to know where that third base is. Because without a third life, not knowing where it is going to be hard to harass. First attempt starts kind of late here. Not entirely sure why that was. Starts very, very late even. Ooh, robotics facility. Now we're talking. Oh. So this is by far the least common opener in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. Twilight, like glaive builds are the second most common, like Stargate most common. Then you get Twilight glaive. Then maybe you get DT drop. Then you'll get like pure gateway attacks, like a 3-gate adept into glaive or 3-gate adept into like double Stargate. And then at the very bottom you have robotics facility openers, at least at the highest level. So this is one of those builds that doesn't really occur. And that's what could make it strong, because people don't have a good response to it. But it also doesn't occur very much because most robo builds just straight up kind of suck. There are not very many good robo builds. The only one that is considered semi-viable is a disruptor drop. And I think that's what we're heading into here. We have the robotics bay being thrown down at rapid speed. This build is especially popular in cross-server play. So you see it quite a bit when Koreans play against Europeans, for example. Because the disruptor is much easier to micro than it is to micro against. I often do this as well when I play against Koreans on the central server, is that usually you'll go up to like 3 or sometimes even 4 Colossus in the PvT matchup, for example, but then I'll just get 2 and then start producing disruptors, because the disruptor is just that much better when there's a little bit of ping involved. It's easier to control the bullet than it is to control the units to try and dodge that bullet. That's something that comes into play. Of course, there's very little ping over here. So we're going to see how well Scarlett can split against this initial damage gate. Prism actually moving across the map might force out a spore or two, because it feels kind of DT-esque. Like there might be some Templar over here. It's not quite the case. It's just going to be Adepts instead. As a result, these spores could just be cancelled. Pure Links in production. And triple spores, okay. That's kind of a wild play here. Is Astrea going to finish this shade? The answer should be no. The answer is going to be no. This will move in towards the main base. Second robotics facility here being thrown down. And I've seen this particular build before. The double Robo Colossus Immortal Disruptor pushes. Kind of famous. They're a well-known type of all-in that Astrea has done. I think he did it against Rainer at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think I am mistaken, actually. I think I'm correct here. I think this is exactly what he did against Rainer at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. These adepts are now coming in, really dealing way too much damage for a fairly easy to kill threat, or usually easy to defend. Like, this shouldn't deal this much damage. It really shouldn't. Wait, did he just build 2 more prisms? I saw 2 prisms in production. I think he cancelled one instead, just started 1. So this is the second prism here that's being produced. We have the gravitic drive on the way as well. There's 2 disruptors that are out. I think this prism is going to go back home and we're going to have double disruptor drops. Well, 2 double disruptor drops, because this is already a double disruptor drop. We're going to have double prism, double disruptor. or double prism quad disruptor. Sounds more accurate, as now some of these tumors are under attack. Yep, there goes the active one. Gets taken out. Second prism does show up. Scarlett should kind of know what's kicking off here, as double Colossus start as well at this point. First disruptor shot is pointless. Second disruptor shot is going to hit legitimately nothing. So far, not great trades here for Astrea. Second prism now shows up, is going to go for the pickup. And I think that Scarlett can probably just pick a drone count and stay on that drone count and then just get pure Roach Ravager. That should be enough. Take out the rocks to make any potential flanks just a little bit easier. And as long as Scarlett doesn't take significant damage against the drops, which once again with good pre-splits really shouldn't be happening here, I'm having trouble seeing how this is going to work. I really do have some trouble. I'm not super familiar with the counter to this build or how to play, but in my mind, pure Roach is going to be the answer here to the question of how to beat this. Rocks being taken out. 58 workers is the drone count that has been picked. 2 Immortals now being produced as well behind this. Now don't forget, 4 Disruptors of course do pack a punch. If you have just a little bit of creep out in front, this is going to be hugely beneficial for your Stalker, for your Roach Micro. You really do need the Glare Reconstitution, so we do see that being researched, and it's probably a very good call. I have another couple of Disruptors. I think that one might have actually connected with something somewhat good. Maybe not as well, though. No sentries in this push. This is just a pure... This is pure power. Brute forcing his way through is what Astrea wants to do over here. It's going to be doing that with 8 robotics facilities. Well, 10 robotic facility units. 2 Prisms, 2 Colossi, 2 Immortals, and 4 Disruptors, as well as one Observer, I guess. So really a crap ton of robo units. Both of these robotics facilities being really utilized the maximum amount. Here we go. Oh, a couple of Disruptor shots here from the back. I didn't quite catch what it killed. 4 Roaches and 1 Ravager so far have fallen. 1 Disruptor also went down, though. It's going to be pure Warpins right now. That's what it feels like, at least. Here comes the flank. Triple Disruptors are around. No real wiles here on this Prism. That's a Disruptor shot going to get a connection with 4 or 5 Roaches. This one gets 3-4 Roaches as well. Scarlett moving in, though, says, hey, I think I can kill this. I'm not entirely sure if that is correct. Double Prism Micro coming in as well here. These 2 Prisms are active. Good movement. I actually do believe that Astrea is doing it right here. 2 Immortals still alive. Both Colossus here as well. 15 Roaches are on the way. As Scarlett, not with the ideal engagement, has lost 11 drones in this game. And of course, losing those 7 drones earlier against the Adepts, the slow Adepts without glaives, wasn't brilliant. That really, that really lowered the amount of Roaches she had over here, because it kind of snowballs. You have the drone count quite a bit later. You have less mining as a result. This is going to be it for this game, I think. The double row. I think I've seen it once before. I think it was Rainer versus Astrea at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice this year, where it happened. This is a wild little build, and it actually did work out. I'm very surprised by that. Scarlett should be familiar with it. Spore's gonna get targeted down here. And I mean, there's just no Roach count anymore. At this point, I think it is fairly over. It's just a single Immortal right now. Single Colossus, single Disruptor. But the Stalker count is higher than the Roach count, right? And you still have these these supplemental units as well. If it was just Stalker, it probably would be a close fight, and then drones would be very powerful. But the Colossus actually helps a lot against potential drone pools. This Colossus is being lifted into the Prism as well. GG gets called. Astrea ties up the series and will be going to the rubber match. Alright, and in that final game here of this best of 5, we're playing on Hecate. Oh, we get the Twilight. Nice! Okay, now I'm looking forward to it. I was thinking, I wonder what else Astrea still can do. Because I wasn't looking forward to another game of Stargate, to be quite honest. I was like, I want something different, something a bit more spicy. Let's take a look at his actual main base. So we see 1 worker pulled out of gas. It's going to be a robotics facility here. This is not going to be the quickest possible glaive adept timing. In order to do that, you need to pull 1 more worker out of gas. You can get a little bit more mineral mining. The limiting factor with most glaive builds is are minerals. They really are. At least until you start the robotics facility. Up until that point, gas tends to be the resource that you need most. But after that, you can pull probably even 3 workers out of gas, honestly. And you should be fine. Should be capable of affording everything, have glaives in time, get your adept warp instances. So you can see his gas is already quite high. And of course, Prism is very expensive. Adepts are, only 25 gas, but there are 100 minerals, which is quite a bit. Scarlett hasn't gotten the info quite yet, but as this Overlord now moves in, is definitely going to get that information. Probe does spot the Overlord, and as a Stalker is on the way out, the OV will end up falling. But with full info, I think this is a very worthwhile scout, to be honest. I really do believe so. Because you can count gas here as Zerg and say, hey, that is quite a bit of gas. So what's it going to be? Like maybe, we're looking at like 10 adepts maybe at what, 445. I think that's really the only thing that is possible. Wait, this is a 3-gate. Okay, it's gonna be 3-gate DT. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's all being scouted. In that case, you're just... 3-gate DT is really weak. The initial adept should be dealing no damage whatsoever. This can be held with a higher drone count than what Scarlett is going for right now. And with 3-gate adept, the thing that really matters is the follow-up. Whether that's going to be Robo Bay and then a Disruptor drop, or whether that's going to be a Dark Shrine, doesn't really matter too much. But look at how weak this is going to be. Look how weak this is going to be. So this is what, 8 adepts here, 440-ish. They arrive. Their Shade is going to finish at like 45, 46, 47. If this deals any damage, I'd be shocked. I really would be shocked. This can be defended with Pureling initially. Eventually, once the adept count starts rising, which of course inevitably is going to happen, you will need a couple more. But this is not a good hold so far by Scarlett. Yes, she hasn't taken any damage yet, but at the same time, there's also way too little drones, and unit production continues on. I think Scarlett wants to counterattack to kill a 3rd base, except there is no 3rd, and there's no ability to counter because the follow-up is going to be a Dark Shrine. And DTs, they kill everything if there's no detection. And right now, there's no detection. This could be a very short and sad game. Spores are being thrown down right now, as they take 21 seconds to finish up. These DTs are going to have an unchecked 15-16 seconds, and Astrea already was in a better position when it comes to the worker count, and it's going to be in an even better position right now. The only thing that should be produced at this point is drones. Drones, drones, drones. Very often the kind of the reaction, the gut reaction that players have is to build units because, well, I'm under attack. But no, actually drones is what you want. You're losing drones, you want to replace them ASAP. Now, ideally, you wouldn't lose those 10 drones. But that happened, all right? That happened. There already was some serious overproduction when it comes to the links, when it comes to these roaches, which wasn't necessary. And now you're also losing drones. Economically, this is a garbage situation right now here for Scarlett. Astrea, taking his 3rd base, knows that it is completely safe, has scouted the lack of a lair, which obviously just means that there's not going to be any mobile detection. Yes, the bases are safe with the spores, but you can't attack the 3rd base of the toss right now, and there is an army that technically would have been capable of doing that, but is not at the moment. It's just simply not capable of doing that. I think these adepts might finish their Shade, kill 2 workers, and get picked up. Yep, there we go. Forces a pull away as well, which actually costs quite a bit of money, as the main base has now been secured officially. Queens plus Spore will be capable of pushing this away. Need to be careful that if the Prism flies by on the left side, there's no real detection anymore in the main mineral line. It's a risky move though, and especially with a Prism that only has 40 real HP remaining and hardly any shields, still regenning that, then I don't think it's that much of a risk. The real problem here for Scarlett is just that the reality of the situation is that there's 2 Immortals out on the map, a bunch of Adepts, and we still have the ability to reinforce as well with a Prism. It's going to be Disruptors, upgrades everything. Scarlett needs drones. Scarlett also needs units. Has a bunch of units, but simply not enough. Not enough right now. 14 Adepts are out. I don't think this push is necessarily going to kill, but I think this push could be a big distraction for the Prism. As in, oh wow, finishing up that Adept Shade is not quite what I expected. This position is pretty crazy, especially with no Link Micro whatsoever. Lots of Links are just going down. Not a good start here, and here comes the Prism. This is what I'm most worried about. They're just losing 6, 7, 8 more workers. I think we had a couple go down here as well. I'm not sure what happened, or maybe just in the net, I guess. 10 more drones falling here. as the Prism doesn't come in to save these adepts. A little bit disappointing. I guess the Spore with some good zoning positioning there will not allow that, but that's another 15 workers that just went down. And most importantly is that Immortal stayed alive. The Prism stayed alive. All the units that require robotics facility time are still there. And that is literally the only thing that matters right now. I don't care about anything else. I really don't. 18 drones going down here. That's the DT on the side. Astrea's playing a very sick game right now. Really, just proper nice. And I think this is... yeah, this is bad. This is not good. As in, if Astrea feels comfortable enough to throw down 2 batteries, despite being completely safe already, Astrea knows what type of position he's in. It's like, okay, my opponent doesn't have a fort base. I have insane robotics units, like 3 Disruptor, 2 Immortal, the counterattack possibility, well, not anymore, but used to have it. It's gonna rebuild that Prism. Decent enough upgrades. I think a fort base would be a good call, kind of forcing Scarlett's hand here, saying, hey, I'm taking a fort, I'm going to out-expand you, you need to attack into me. And then you have those batteries, you have that cannon, you have the battery in the back, you have those robo units. I mean, this is a completely unrealistic attack here, coming out of Scarlett, but it's also completely unrealistic to go into a macro game from here. Down 8 workers, down in upgrades, inferior tech. Like, I think this is still the best call, but there are no good calls, so it's just going to be rough. More drones being taken out. Look at that. 38 worker kills in a 9-minute game. That ain't good. As the 4th Disruptor shows up here as well. 5th one on the way. Archon's now being morphed. Here we go with a super battery. I can only imagine I'd use the one in the back if I were Astrea. And yeah, there we go. Beautiful stuff. I mean, this is going to be the world's most one-sided fight. Immortal could move back a bit to get healed, but it doesn't matter. It started with 160 supplied to 140, and it ends with 140 to 94. I think that pretty much tells the tale of this game. A very nice execution there with the build out of Astrea, and I think Scarlett just kind of misreading the situation, despite getting a full-on scout with the Overlord, but despite seeing the gas count that was in these assimilators, potentially should have been capable of figuring out, like, hey, a lot of gas has been mined. That is weird for a 4-gate glaive adept, or perhaps even that is impossible with a 4-gate glaive adept. And yeah, that bit her in the bum a little bit here. So Astrea gets a W in this game with a... Was that a complete reverse sweeper? I think it was, right? Yeah, Scarlett starting 2-0, going 2-3 in the end. Unfortunate, but it is what happened over here. And that, my dear friends, is going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this best of 5 between America's Finest. If you did, or well, North America's Finest. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you, and bye-bye.